First video of the new year. You excited?
Nope.
No? No, we've had it's 2026 now. It's like day 2 of 2026. You're not excited to immediately.
It's combatant time.
Oh god. Okay. Well, we are covering a topic that's going to be relatively low effort. You just have to laugh at it because it's going to be really stupid. We are covering. Careful, you're going to hurt yourself with that exertion. Calm down. Today, we're covering the money-grubbing, back-alley dealing, scam-slinging, meme-printing corporation that makes discount No, not the Capellans. This corporation had the balls to look at a kit car and say, yeah, we could do that with a tank and idiots would still buy it. It changes its name and reincorporates bi-weekly to avoid lawsuits and taxes and is constantly shifting around the inner sphere because everyone hates them, but they just make so much stuff for so cheap that they just seem to keep getting away from it. They're also responsible for arming like every single pirate, periphery, and poorhouse military in the entire setting. We're covering the QUIKSCELL Corporation, one of the most enduring scammers of the entire setting, one of the most competent, in quotation marks, suppliers of anything and everything you might need at the most competitive of prices. QUIKSCELL also offers a wide array of cutting-edge and wholly unique weapons that you can't find anywhere else. Read, nobody else was insane enough to try and make.
You saying they have the self-destructo 3000?
Unironically, yes, they do have some custom weapons that have a nasty tendency of just blowing up the moment you click the trigger.
Outstanding. They're
not liable for any accidents, misfires, failures, or other forms of unwanted user harm a buyer may experience. It worked perfectly fine when it left the factory floor, so any problems must be your fault. You cannot litigate them into any corner. They're like Little Caesars, you know, it's hot and it's ready. It's bottom of the barrel trash, but it is hot and it is ready.
I would not be tolerating the Little Caesars slander here, sir, and also it's never actually hot and ready at this point. You always have to wait when you go in.
Okay. I like how you're like, I'm not going to tolerate Little Caesars slander, proceeds to slander them.
It's not slander. The taste is fine when you haven't had pizza in a while and you're not fully coherent.
Little Caesars is great when you don't know what pizza tastes like and might be high. It's fine. It's great.
Or drunk. Or drunk.
You're doing a great job selling me on Little Caesars, by the way. You're really breaking my opinion.
They're trying to go for the authentic style, all right? They gotta really hone in the taste of the oil pan, all right?
Oh, so it's like Pizza Hut. It's nothing but grease with the vague aftertaste of cheese.
Have you never actually had Little Caesars?
I have had Little Caesars a long time ago.
Okay.
I remember it being unfathomably shit, and then I never went back.
Did you have the deep dish or the normal crust, though?
I think I had the normal crust.
The deep dish is a bit better.
I wasn't brave enough to try the deep dish. I thought it was going to be worse, because normally deep dish pizzas are, like, obscenely greasy, and I was like, I don't feel like having diabetes today.
Oh, no, it's definitely greasy. Back to the video.
Back to the video. Before we get into things properly, though, introductions. Generic greetings and welcome to Science and Sanity, a channel dedicated to bringing my love of sci-fi and all its stupid excellence to you. I'm Cy, and along for the ride is my lovable and very eager co-host and content minion, Steve. Introduce yourself.
Hello, I am Steve.
Aren't you just so happy to be back for another year?
We are not changing that. No New Year's resolution for changing my introduction.
I will be fat and unhappy just like I was last year. I'm not even going to pretend to try and change it. So let's start with the company's history and stuff because it's incredibly easy. QUIKSCELL was founded in a year at some point and is run by someone, I assume, with the aim of producing stuff, I think. And that's about it, honestly. There's not really much.
Yeah.
So despite being one of the biggest corporations in the setting, despite being so integrated into like every level of military procurement from the great houses and even some clan stuff that they stole during the clan invasion, down to the most insignificant and illiterate pirate and periphery militia, QUIKSCELL is an enigma. Their history just kind of doesn't exist, and for most people, and the meta reason, it's because there just isn't a lot of lore for QUIKSCELL. Like, people write it into their stories and they use it as sort of a background addition for humor or memes, but aside from that, there really just isn't a lot to go off of. The best you can really grab is that, like, during the Age of War, around the 2400s, maybe before that, there was a company called Quick Products Inc., spelled Q-U-I-K.
Oh, the Quick Trip.
Yeah.
I can't believe Quick Trip has evolved into this now.
I mean, it's probably one straight line of development from Quick Trip all the way to QUIKSCELL, just 1,000 years of development. Because BattleTech does start from real world, and then as it moves into the future becomes more science fiction. So best guess from what I could find, and to any of the viewers that may have more information than me or that have the time to dig through like 500 different TRO books, you can correct me if I miss something, but QUIKSCELL is all the way back to the pre-Age of War roots, around 800 years old. Otherwise, for hard numbers, the only other solid statement that we've got is that QUIKSCELL existed in all of its glory as a massive industrial juggernaut just before the clan invasion as like a well-established arms supplier across the Inner Sphere. And considering that most companies take centuries to spread across the successor states, it makes sense that QUIKSCELL would probably have to be incredibly old to be basically everywhere. My interpretation is pure headcanon, but I do think it's accurate, and that's the real reason that QUIKSCELL has so little concrete history is because nobody can keep track of all the shenaniganery and all their never-ending bullshit with law-breaking and tax evasion. They change their name constantly by swapping single letters. So they'll go from like QUIKSCELL to QUIKSCELL, but they remove an L from the end, or they go to QUIKSCELL, but they removed the C in the first part of quick, or QUIKSCELL, but instead of cell, S-E-L-L, it's cell, C-E-L-L, and they are constantly unincorporating, dissolving, and reincorporating their business on different planets.
Do they ever swap the E for a Y?
I'm pretty sure that they have at some point.
Okay,
They've gone through, like, I think over 24 canon names. It's like a running joke. Every single person that writes a BattleTech novel or short story that uses QUIKSCELL, they all misspell it wrong in their own unique way, and it's all canon. It's basically impossible to know. They could have spelled it a million different ways by the time we've reached the current era in the setting.
Do we know what the true spelling of it is, or is that also yet to be determined?
It's also yet to be determined. We don't really know. Again, they also have like 5 branches, which are technically 5 different companies that all operate under the QUIKSCELL name in different successor states, and every single one of them has a different name. So we don't really know. The simple answer is their name can be anything. Can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay, that was weird. I think Discord just died for a second there. Where did I cut off for you?
Yep.
What?
Yep.
Okay, moving on.
I don't know. I had the exact point in my head, and then when I messaged you, between the point where I messaged you and me joining back in the VC, I've just forgotten exactly where you were. I might also have dementia.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna leave that in the full video, and I'm just gonna keep moving on. I got my half. I know what I was saying, so I'm gonna move on like nothing happened. It's fine. So they constantly unincorporate and reincorporate on different planets, and the person/people who make up their owner and leadership is an ever-changing mystery at the best of times. They have anywhere between like 5 branch managers, which make up like a ruling council, I guess, all the way up to like dozens of CEOs managing everything individually at any given time. It's basically impossible to pin anything down over any long time period. And in lore, they are such vicious tax evaders that they don't just do this once in a while. They do this so often that suing them is virtually impossible. Because by the time you've levied a lawsuit against them, they've officially dissolved and reincorporated on another planet under a different name. That meme of the guy fading away with the peace sign is QUIKSCELL. Like, you can't pin these weaselly little shits down. So not having a comprehensive timeline or like any concrete information on what they've done or how they've grown might actually just be an in-universe attempt by the company to avoid litigation and taxes at all costs. Like, what do you mean we've been in operation since the early 2400s? We've only just started doing business a few months ago, I assure you. QUIKSCELL Corporation bears no relation to the similarly but legally distinct company called QUIKSCELL Limited Incorporated in the Lyran Commonwealth. As such, I can assure you we owe no back taxes to the Lyran state. You can clearly see we're based in the Capellan Confederation. And then they're just like, yeah, but you took over all their contracts and bought over all of QUIKSCELL's old factories, so like capital gains taxes, only for QUIKSCELL to be like, no hablo anglais mi amigo, and then they just fucking close the line and disappear again.
I like the idea that they just pick a random employees of the week to come and be the front man for the new business.
That's the thing, like QUIKSCELL sales reps are some of the most like inconsistent people ever. Sometimes they're like the smarmy grimiest, like, suit-wearingest, salesman-looking-ass people you've ever met in your life that seem like they're just oozing snake oil out of their pores. And other times, it's like they grabbed a random engineer or, like, just some random office intern to go seal a deal worth millions. And you're like, what are you doing? They also lie with every single breath.
Are we sure they're not just a government entity?
No, because every government hates them. They don't pay taxes. They're more like a mob or maybe like a cartel. Black market arms dealer. I don't really know. It's very hard to pin them down. Their business structure and how they work keeps changing all the time. Even when they have like stable long-term contracts and like factories and stuff, even their outputs and their production will change dramatically, which we'll get into later. But like everything about this company seems like it exists to be a meme. And also, I will not pay taxes. I don't care who the government sends. Like that's their entire thing. It also explains a little bit why they, unlike pretty much every other corporation in the setting, have so many branches and sub-corporations and so many different worlds that they work on. There are 5, like I mentioned, one for the Lyrans, the Purple Bird, the Capellans, and the Fedsuns, with then a central main branch which operates everywhere at once and also paradoxically nowhere, depending on who they feel like paying taxes to. So there's no official branch for the Draconis Combine as well, because the Combine hates them a lot. QUIKSCELL also makes a habit of supplying everyone. They don't discriminate. They only care about the color of your money kind of thing. So there's a very good chance that QUIKSCELL is supplying, like, if not the majority, a hell of a lot of the pirates, mercenaries, raiders, and rebels that the Draconis Combine has to deal with. They're probably funneling a lot of weapons in there, and the Combine hates them for that reason. So yeah, it makes sense that they don't operate there. But normally big corporations in BattleTech have a main headquarters and then subcontract or license out to other companies to help them if they need to like scale up or something. And that's because the capital investments to build new factories and supply lines in BattleTech are insane. Like if you look at General Motors, which still exists in BattleTech, they build mechs, weapons, engines, computer systems, electronics, ammo, everything. They've pretty much integrated their entire supply and production line to make their own products. But if you wanted to scale that onto another world or in another successor state, you'd need to build all of that up again from scratch, because travel times, costs, and the ever-present threat of war between the various states means that you'd never be able to reliably ship stuff like to the other side of human space long term. So they just license other companies already out there to produce stuff. And
so does GM own a planet? Off topic, but
no, they do not. There are very, very, very few corporations that own planets, mostly because the governments of said planets and the successor states don't really want them to have that kind of control. They want them to sell them weapons, not become their own political entities. The only companies that are like big into the military industrial complex that have their own planets are ones that are tied to really big mercenaries. So you've got like the Northwind Highlanders, and they own their own planet basically. You fucking okay. Even when you're not actively trying to screw me over, you still find the worst possible way to go about anything for me. Thank you, Steve, truly.
Well, if I didn't do it, everyone would be angry with me. So
yeah, sure.
Better one angry at me than
okay. Justify the mob mentality outrage against me. Oh, yeah, sure. Real good defense there, buddy. Great. Oh, I had to do it. Everybody else would have been mad at me. Fucking garbage. Whatever. Short answer to your question, no. GM does not own a planet. They are extremely influential, but generally companies don't own planets.
Understandable. Yo, I found some new tech, by the way. Whenever I start laughing, I can just hit one of them.
You didn't need that.
No. I'm not saying now for future reference. Whenever I start rolling with that.
No, why? So I
can inject the audience laughter into you getting frustrated at the Highlander.
I love that very slowly over time. This is a tumor. This meme is actually a tumor growing in my ballsack. Every single fucking time it's brought up, it gets a little more painful and a little more annoying. Oh, hey, you know what? It was annoying before. Now, it's just like, wouldn't it be funny if I had a laugh track to go along with it? Yeah, great. It's the soundtrack of Friends every time I get my balls crushed by this stupid fucking meme. Shut up! Shut the hell up! I will mute your soundboard. My God. Back on track. Like I was saying, but QUIKSCELL, they only deal in garbage. No mechs, no fancy components, simple combat vehicles, weapons, ammo, some internal combustion engines. So QUIKSCELL can expand like a plague all over the inner sphere without much issue. Very low effort to get into mass production wherever they go. Also contributing to why their products are everywhere. And you know what? I was going to do a segment on like how QUIKSCELL operates from like a lore perspective, but no, that would be just very... It would be very repetitive. I think it would honestly be better just to dive into all the shit they do. Starting with how they value human life. Not at all. They do not.
Amazon of the universe. Does Amazon still exist?
I don't think so, because I'm pretty sure Amazon was founded after BattleTech as a setting was written, and they basically just transposed most of like the 70s, 80s, and 90s companies into BattleTech, and then everything after that is like not really.
Okay, so the timeline actually starts in 1970.
So during the Jihad, when Comstar had its little oopsie and burned down the inner sphere by giving rise to the Word of Blake, military gear was in such massive need by everyone that QUIKSCELL was eating pretty good, just like the entirety of the rest of the MIC. They were also in the great position that everything they made was dog shit. So when the Word of Blake were searching for factories and stuff to destroy, and industry to cripple, and high-tech sectors to destroy, you know, like obliterate your enemy's ability to fight back, they almost always skipped over QUIKSCELL because, again, bottom of the barrel. The worst most QUIKSCELL facilities got was raids and small-scale attacks. So on multiple facilities, QUIKSCELL just shrugged and went, yeah, okay, whatever. We're just going to keep on working. They offered massive signing bonuses and contracts for workers if they were willing to go to these embattled factories. And in some cases, the QUIKSCELL locations were so close to the front lines that new tanks or ammo or weapons would be literally hauled off to stockpiles or frontline positions as it rolled off the production line. The world Ares was one such planet, and it was on the border of the Fed Suns and the Capellans, and, you know, pretty big production hub. But while the mech factories and heavy weapons plants caught a nuke, the QUIKSCELL tank line on the world only got raided like a dozen times, taking, by the end of the fighting on the world, 85% attrition rates for their staff, and half the factory being leveled to rubble multiple times.
Those are great numbers and all, but how much money did they make from that?
I presume basically all of it, because the factory never actually stopped. I think it states that even while it was under attack and the raid was being fought off, production still didn't stop. They just kept on going.
As they should.
Yeah, and they just rebuilt it and restaffed it whenever anything got damaged or destroyed or killed. And those giant signing contracts presumably were only paid out if they survived like a couple months working term. And with the Word of Blake constantly attacking, most people would not survive that term, so they just didn't have to pay that hazard bonus. And with how desperate everyone was, that factory just kept on pumping out tanks and weapons carriers and stuff. Even better though is like during the clan invasion and Jihad, when everyone needed war material, QUIKSCELL patented a new type of delivery method for armored vehicles. You see, most transports could carry a few dozen to maybe like 100 fully assembled and operational tanks and stuff at once, right? But QUIKSCELL figured out you could more than triple those numbers if you packaged those vehicles creatively. So for a very small discount, probably like a $5 coupon to Denny's or something, QUIKSCELL could send you bulk armored vehicles by not assembling them and instead shipping massive containers of parts and instruction manuals to wherever they were ordered, upon which the receiving techs would then have the duty of assembling them on site.
Outstanding.
They were they were actively selling kit tanks to people, which is insane. You know what a kit car is, right?
Yes. Oh, do you know what the kit car is, though?
No. Enlighten me.
Oh, the kit car.
Night Runner, alright.
What do you want from me? It's the kit car.
Alright, fair enough. Like, real kit cars are on a spectrum, so some of them are like the entire ass car with every single component and the instructions to put it together. Some of them are like just a parts catalog that you then need to order individually from. And I can almost guarantee at least one poor fucker paid for tanks and got millions and millions of QUIKSCELL catalogs stacked on top of each other telling them which parts to order. I guarantee you some poor fucker got that as the result. It's also prudent to mention that QUIKSCELL products are garbage. They're beyond garbage. They are notoriously unreliable. Tanks will break down, weapons won't work, ammo might just explode in the barrel when fired. So in general, everybody knows that QUIKSCELL products are probably gonna go to shit immediately right off the assembly line. But these kit tanks had parts that were never actually fit together and tested, and would frequently require more man hours to repair and get working than if they had just salvaged a destroyed vehicle from the battlefield. Something that you actually blew up would have been easier to rebuild and get back working than some of these freshly ordered tanks from QUIKSCELL. It's been so bad across most of history as well that the Fed Sons, as a faction, just outright won't accept anything from QUIKSCELL without a proper inspection. They force every single thing to be extensively tested, and if anything is wrong, they basically send it back to QUIKSCELL to be fixed at their time and expense. How they test ammo, I don't know, but they probably have someone just standing there like Bugs Bunny hammering the top of the shell to see if it explodes, and if it doesn't, it's a dud. If it does, well, we're not paying for that.
Yeah, we can't be firing these off in batches to see if like the whole batch is bad or anything. We gotta hammer this out.
But that's for stuff that QUIKSCELL doesn't like actually design. They just license these from other people because, again, they have a massive industrial base. The truly homegrown wonders of this corporation are a mix of the mind-bendingly stupid and the brain-boilingly annoying. Like, let's take a look at the venerable double heatsink, for example, okay? A heatsink that is twice as effective for the same tonnage. Very, very nice to play with, and you really only suffer from the downside that it's a little bit bigger internally. QUIKSCELL introduces its own brand of radical double heat sinks. We took 2 regular heat sinks and welded them together. To save on weight, we also stripped off the heat transfer systems and replaced them with a far more efficient chemical bath plugged directly into your mech's reactor. Twice the heat sinking for only a minor increase in weight and size. And then the sales rep very conveniently fails to mention that if this thing gets hit in combat, those chemicals are gonna blow up like a bomb or start melting your internals because there's some ridiculously corrosive acid or something.
It was in the fine print. He didn't have to cover it. He was all good.
Like, you... What the hell up, Steve? So yeah, they basically just filled your mech with little acid bombs courtesy of QUIKSCELL. But you know, what about like a gun, right? You like guns, we all like guns. Well, those clanners have their ultra autocannons, and no, QUIKSCELL brings you a competitor with the same firepower, the twin autocannon. By overclocking the ammo feed system to move twice as fast with all of the safeties gone, and stripping down 2 autocannons before welding the barrels together, now you too can fire twice as many shells per pull of the trigger. And then that poor pirate mech warrior gets into combat, pulls the trigger once, and all of the internals on that part of his mech just break, because as it turns out, a downside of dual autocannons is that if it misfires, which it will, it can severely damage itself and the surroundings, or just explode, because, you know, the ammo cooks off in the very, very stripped down barrels. Then you've got stuff like extended LRMs. Do you need to hit targets even farther away than regular long-range missiles can? Well, do we have a technological breakthrough for you? QUIKSCELL has managed to drastically increase the range of your missiles by stripping out unnecessary components and safeties, to then fill the fuel tank with more and stronger fuel mixes, giving you 50% more range per missile for each missile. That's like double the missile! Then you actually use the stupid thing, and it turns out that the guidance is stripped, so you're essentially dumbfiring rocket artillery at like 3 kilometers away now, and since they've stripped all the internals to make more room for fuel, the safeties that stop the missiles from blowing up in the tube aren't there. So if your LRM bank gets hit, your ammo cooks off even without the armor being penetrated. I mean, you might just fall over and set them off as well. I mean, you might step on the ground a little too hard and it just they're going to explode. They're going to explode.
You gotta really be careful with your foot placement here.
Then you've got like the never-ending internal modifications like endo or ferro armor, and you're like, wow, this technically works, you know, a little bit, and now I have no internals left and my mech can't walk properly because like the Myanmar and shit doesn't work with this crap installed. Like everything QUIKSCELL touches turns to shit. They're like a monkey's paw if it was the military industrial complex instead of a wish granter. Like they always deliver on what they say they're going to. Technically, like this is an extended range LRM, this is a double heatsink, this is a double autocannon, but the consequences of, or the price of like what you're almost almost always going to be forced to pay is going to bite you in the ass or just get you killed every single time. They're also responsible for some of the most like absurd refits you've never heard of. Again, QUIKSCELL doesn't produce any mechs, not really, just components, weapons, and vehicles, but they do offer, in very heavy quotation marks, upgrade packages for a wide range of mech chassis.
Yeah, upgraded so it blows up quicker, yeah.
No. You don't understand. You don't understand. Fusion engines are expensive. They're not going to be upgrading that. So have you ever wanted your reactor to generate less energy and be more fuel reliant? Are you sick of using weapons that need high energy like lasers and particle cannons? Would you rather aim through a reticle we painted onto your mech's cockpit glass instead of the complex electronics? Then you want to buy QUIKSCELL's ice conversion today. You can swap out that pesky fusion engine for a good old gas-guzzling internal combustion engine that we stripped out of a fucking tractor or something. It's an incredibly shit idea to do this, by the way, but since the fusion engine is like 2/3 the cost of most mechs, this does make it very, very cheap to go back to like pre-primitive tech, basically. And then you've got the various QUIKSCELL bolt-on refits. Out in the periphery, and with pirates, you will find never-ending mountains of mechs and vehicles that are covered head to toe in dumbfire rocket tubes and like random bolt-on flamers or like a big single-fire shotgun or something, right? But guess who's back again? QUIKSCELL loves selling people bolt-on pre-made weapons like rockets, rifles, flamethrowers, acid spewers, anything, really. So instead of investing in any of that complex or expensive ammo stowage and feed stuff, I mean, who really bothers with that, am I right? Simply buy these QUIKSCELL bolt-on editions. Strip out any extra tonnage you might need, like armor or weapons, whatever, and just slide a giant pre-made bank of 10, 20, 30, 40 more rockets into said hole or onto the shoulder of your mech or something. Just bolt it on there nice and tight. Hey presto, you now have a one-shot wonder weapon capable of blapping a shitload of damage into your enemy.
Fucking presto.
Shut up, okay? Speaking is hard. You say maybe 2 sentences an hour.
That shit was funny.
Shut.
Hey man, you get to do all this to me when I eventually, sometime this century, hopefully, complete the 50k video.
Yeah, I know. Dude, we're gonna hit 60k before the 50k special is ready.
I told you, it's gonna be a 100k special.
New year, new time to waste. New year to waste, not writing
exactly.
a fucking script.
Another new year to waste not doing the video.
SpongeBob meme, the essay writing. Just an accurate look at Steve's progress so far.
That joke's only been made 4 times in Soup Chat at this point.
It's not a joke. That's just what it is. That's accurate. That's an actual... Dude, that is a direct picture of your desk. That's not a joke. That's just what it looks like.
We do, in fact, have a little bit more than that. We have one non-sci image.
So, back on track, though, this kind of bolt-on stuff does work. It works like shit, but it does. So, you know, you need some rockets, need some mech-scale rifles or, like, flamers or something. Go nuts with this. Then we've got the frickin' the Pale Horses of Doom riding in half assembled and half on fire. The entirely in-house inventions of QUIKSCELL, the Scorpion, the Hetzer, the Falcon hover tank, the various weapons carriers, the most shit of all possible purchases that are just so cheap you can't help but at least pick up a couple. Like when you're craving like the absolute worst fast food, so you get like Burger King or Taco Bell or something, like you're just craving garbage, so you get garbage. That's what these things are. And we'll start with the best of the worst and go down from there. Firstly, the carrier platform. That's the first image. This thing is venerable, being one of the first pieces of in-house military kit that QUIKSCELL ever made. It's essentially a tank chassis that has an enormous brick of missile launchers or guns or artillery. Really, it's just anything that they can fit on top of it, strapped to the top of it. The carrier is the glass cannon. It has garbage armor, no survivability, tends to cook off spectacularly with all the ammo it carries, and can't maneuver to save its life. But goddamn is it terrifying for the raw amount of firepower it brings. Like, you turn the corner, you see a short-range missile carrier, and you can do nothing but clench as you prepare to eat 60 missiles to the face, which do 120 points of damage instantaneously.
Is that 120 apiece, or is that just 120 total?
No, that's in total. which doesn't sound like a lot, but that is enough to basically vaporize anything below 50 tons. If it's like a medium mech or below, it's just, it's gone. There is a crater. The poor bastard exploded. He is just legs. That's all that's left when you come around the corner and meet this thing. It's enough to terrify even the staunchest of assault mech pilots. And if the carrier doesn't kill whatever it's shooting at, I mean, there's a good chance it explodes right after, but my god, the threat it presents. It is a little pricey though, at around 1.8 million C-bills, but for what you get, that's a terrifying amount of boom. Like, if you wanted to buy a mech that has like a similar level of Alpha Strike, you're easily into like the 7 to 10 million C-bill price range. Then we've got the Scorpion, the tank. And, I mean, it's a tank. It does tank things. Look, this is the most whelming thing ever produced. Not underwhelming, not overwhelming, just
whelmed.
Just very whelmed. It is a tracked armored vehicle with one autocannon rated for 5 damage and a either coax or hull-mounted machine gun. The placement keeps changing depending on who draws the art. And that is it. It's a 25-ton tank that comes in at 320,000 credits. So while individually the Scorpion is a piece of shit, it doesn't really matter how piddly the Scorpion is, since anyone would be loath to walk through a valley of dozens of them. Since they're so cheap, you outnumber most battle mechs by like a minimum of 10 to 1. A Centurion, for example, like one of the primo frontline soldier style medium mechs, right? One Centurion would be about 11 Scorpions, and suddenly that AC-5 is a lot scarier when there's 11 of them shooting at you all at the same time. And then a fan favorite after that, the urban mech of vehicles, the Hetzer. This thing is a meme. It is slow and chunky and incredibly unmaneuverable, but it is very cheap and an easy way to get an AC-20 onto the battlefield. That's that four-wheeled thing that you can see.
That's an AC-20?
That is an AC-20.
Tank?
The tank is really, really, really small. The AC-20 is, again, like four times the size of the AC-5. I want to point out, like, what you see is the very edge of the barrel. The actual AC-20 basically runs the entire length of the Hetzer. It's literally, like, half of the internal volume of that tank is gun.
There is, in fact, no backside on that. It just shoots out the back of it.
It's very, very amusing. It's very, very cheap as well, only about 600,000 C-bills, so about twice the price of the Scorpion. But because QUIKSCELL cheaped out so much, most of the time, new Hetzers are entirely inoperable for the people that buy them, which is mostly pirates and periphery poors. They might be missing internal electronics, or there might be serious problems with the engine, or the gun just might not be there. So a lot of poor and desperate worlds swear by it, but more often than not, you have to tacitly accept that you need like 20 to 30% more Hetzers in an order than you want, just so that you can cannibalize their parts to get the rest working. So if you want 100 working vehicles, you're gonna have to order like 130 of them. But hey, funny giant gun. And lastly, the Falcon hover tank. That very weird looking shoe of a hover tank. Now, I would love to talk about this one more, like how it's underarmed for a 50-tonner, how it's slow for a hover, how it lacks the armor of a frontline brawling vehicle, which is what they designed it to do, how it isn't even cheap, but I mean, like, I can't, because it's not even assembled. It might not even be real, honestly. This hover tank was a groundbreaking attempt that all the other ones we joked about earlier came from, where QUIKSCELL was like, I'm gonna lower production costs by just not assembling it at all and offering no options to buy it pre-built. You ordered it, you'd get a shipping container of parts. And since the only people who were really buying these things were periphery people that didn't really have the education or the infrastructure to assemble them, and pirate morons, more often than not, they just couldn't put it together at all. So my personal favorite of the QUIKSCELL products, basically just because it might straight up just be a scam. It's also ridiculously expensive for what you get at 2 million C-bills. So yeah, this one might actually just be a cash grab that dumb idiots would pay for and then never be able to actually use. This company truly is minimum effort. Oh man. But yeah, first video of the new year. Welcome to QUIKSCELL. I thought it would be funny to deal with them, especially after the holiday rush and all the grifters that try to sell you shit over the holidays. And yeah. Let me know down below to all the viewers, what is your favorite canon or non-canon QUIKSCELL thing? Because you will find tons of fan-made concepts and mods for video games and all kinds of stuff like that. So if you've run across any of them that are like filling out the lore of QUIKSCELL, or you have your own take on it, let me know in the comments below, because it is a very open-ended company. It is very big, and it's like a Hydra. It just does everything. So yeah, let me know about that stuff. And that's pretty much the end of the video. To everybody that made it this far, you're clearly the target audience, or you enjoyed the content, so why not leave a like, subscribe, comment down below, ring the bell, do all of that great stuff that helps the channel out against the YouTube algorithm. If you're feeling extra generous, you can also check out our channel memberships, which for a few bucks a month, you get access to videos a day or two early, occasionally get to vote on future content, and very occasionally get members-only cut content, scrapped videos, or other behind-the-scenes stuff like that. If you just want to hang out, though, we have a Discord where tons of fellow Turbo Nerds gather to really do what Turbo Nerds do, just like talk, play video games, shoot the shit, discuss lore, all kinds of stuff like that. To the coffee vendors who make sure that my war on sleep marches ever onwards, a huge thanks to you guys. To the food merchants making sure that my co-host is fed and very firmly sedated and locked up in my basement, a huge thanks to you guys. And to the wonderful arms dealers and QUIKSCELL reps that have supplied me an endless mountain of dog shit that does not work and that I cannot fix, a huge thanks to you guys as well. I've been having a wonderful time as things randomly explode, or parts that you told me would fit together just do not. Truly, this is an experience of all time. And with that, I have nothing else to say. The video is over. Goodbye.